help you perfect the human soul. Help you with the...
Sounds nice, doesn't he? I think we should charge the battery with our Black & Decker. Battery charger with so much address. What's address mean? It means skillful management, proficient, dexterous. Adroit.
The letter is remarkable for its undercurrent of self-reliance and certainty. He didn't rely on anybody to tell him about God. He went directly to God. His self-reliance, his reliance upon himself to find out about God. The letter is remarkable for its undercurrent of self-reliance and certainty. There is expressed an implicit confidence that the Father Superior will fully understand. Implicit confidence that the Father Superior will fully understand. He pleads for no forgiveness. Instead, he notes that, quote, with a sensible regret, unquote, he has confessed his sins to God. Now let's go over this slowly. This is beautiful. With a sensible regret, quote unquote, he has confessed his sins to God. He has asked forgiveness. There. Then he has surrendered himself to the divine will. And that, quote, the King, merciful and full of beneficence. God, merciful and full of beneficence. Far from punishing me, has told me, has held me in love. Far from punishing me, has held me in love. Summoned me to his table and afforded me the key to his riches. Want to hear that again? With sensible regret, quote unquote, he has confessed his sins to God, asked forgiveness there, and has surrendered himself to the divine will. And that, quote, God, merciful and full of benevolence, far from punishing me, has held me in love, summoned me to his table, and afforded me the key to his riches. That makes us feel so good, doesn't it? Rarely outspoken in criticism, Brother Lawrence, nevertheless, by indirection, suggested that churches and churchmen, church people, would profit by substituting for set devotional forms, quote, trivial devotions, unquote, he called them, the simple practice of the presence of God, the simple practice of the presence of happiness. The mystic way, he said, should be the very spirit of the church. For it alone is sufficient to perfect the human soul. That's the powerhouse. The mystic way, he said, should be the very spirit of the church. For it alone is sufficient to perfect the human soul. If you could go to church and if they would help you perfect the human soul, help you with the mystic spirit, maybe churches wouldn't be struggling. They would be giving people what people need. It's like eating right, giving the body nutrition instead of snacks. Quote, many fail in Christian progress because they stick fast in what is this word? Penances and set exercises, unquote. Even prayers may obscure God rather than bring the prayer close to Him. We're close to Him, aren't we, folks? We are a prayer. I don't hear us saying prayers. But whatever we're saying, it's bringing us closer to God. Quote, even in the time of set devotion, when our voice is lifted in prayer, we should school ourselves to pause. This is nice. We should school ourselves to pause, if only for a moment. To adore God in the center of our being. We should school ourselves to pause, if only a moment, to adore God in the center of our being. To be conscious of God's presence. To keep a hidden tryst, T-R-Y-S-T. I am certain that it is a common fault, even among people of religion, to overlook this pausing in their affairs to adore God in the depths of their souls, to enjoy renewal through the peace of knowing Him. I am certain that it is a common fault, even among people of religion, to overlook this pausing in their affairs to adore God in the depths of their souls, to enjoy renewal through the peace of knowing Him. You can't beat that. You don't have to. We're up to page 300. I listen to this over and over and over, and it is so thrilling. Late in his life, the reputation of Brother Lawrence for saintliness and sagacity so increased, despite his low station, that people of note outside the monastery began to seek him out. And one of those was M. de Chalons, Chalons, who had been Cardinal de Noailles, Noailles. It was at his directions that Monsieur Beaufort, his Grand Vicar, held conversations with the friar, attempting to set down a report verbatim of his thoughts. Oh, am I ever glad they did. Am I ever glad he did become known, because that way it got passed down to us. It is now 8:55 p.m. December 18th. Saturday, Sabbath Eve, 2008, Anno Domini, the year of our Lord. Are you going to make Sabbath? No, but almost. How far away are you? Okay, I'll give you a score. I am 1, make biscuits. 2, meditation 5. 3, hot cereal. 4, peanut butter and Triscuits. Now this, I don't think I really am. I'm not going to clean up the kitchen for the night. There's details though. How many? Oh, I'd say 7 or 8. Pretty close. Almost gonna make it. Almost. Gonna make it. Is there anything you can do to make it? Well, meditation 5. Meditation 6. They're part of the Sabbath, so that the rest is just cooking and eating and the details. Home from church, home from the mission. After church to Hannaford's to get apples for the cows, and over to the pasture to feed the apples to the cows. No cows. Where are they, folks? No cows. Where are they? Well, did you read the apples? Yes, I did. I threw 8 of them over the fence. Granny Smith and Washington State. 1:50 p.m. The Sabbath. The Sabbath. Brother Lawrence. Page 300. When the Conversations were first published in 1602, a year after the death of Brother Lawrence, Monsieur Beaufort showed his surprise that there had grown up a public interest in the saintly friar. His preface begins, quote, during the past year, death has taken many members of the Order of Barefoot Carmelites, others leaving rare memories of lives spent in virtue. But Providence, I can see, desires that men's eyes should be drawn chiefly, among them, to Brother Lawrence. unquote. Fenelon, Archbishop of Cambrai, who was, as Vaughan says, quote, dignified and gentle, graceful as a courtier, and spoke.
Well, what happened to the audio? Okay. I'll be right with you. I have to take care of this key before I lose it. I told you 28 degrees. Sunshine, that's pretty good. These are vegetarian hot dogs, by the way. The best vegetarian hot dog there is. Oh, you came to the end of the side. Okay, that's God microcassette 8. So we'll zero it. And this is 8 side B.
Spotless as a saint, the most pure, the most persuasive, the most accomplished of religious guides, unquote. Fenelon was among the pilgrims who came to the Carmelite monastery in Paris to talk with Brother Lawrence. He found the friar dangerously ill. In this way, for this was very near the end of his life. Only one question asked by the celebrated divine has been recorded. Oh, if God presented a choice, would he desire to live longer in order to increase in holiness, or to be received at once into heaven? Unquote. The reply came instantly. That choice lay with God, he said. Quote, for his part, he had waited in peace until God should show him his will. Unquote. On his deathbed, St. Francis de Sales had answered a similar question with memorable words, quote, if it is his will, I will it too, unquote. And one cannot but believe that Fenelon knew of the instance. Nor is it improbable that that Friar Lawrence was conversant with St. Francis's life too. Savoyard saint, the holy bishop of Cambrai, and the lay monk of the Barefoot Carmelites, they were as much of a single spirit as any group of mystics in history. As Brother Lawrence was the simplest man of the three, it is he who has put the thought of the trust in God in the simplest words and the most direct statement. Quote, I am in God's hands. He will do as he wishes with me. If I can no longer serve him here, he will take me elsewhere to serve. Unquote. This is the end of page 300. Outside the monastery walls, France was still the scene of disorders and minor civil wars. The cause of the Huguenots had declined until it had become hopeless. The extirpation of the first of the Protestant hands was being accomplished with ferocity and cruelty. The Catholic reaction had served to purge the Church of the worst evils, and seldom had so many admirable men and women of blameless lives, combining great scholarship with saintliness, served Catholicism as in 17th century France. The extremists have nevertheless gained control of the machinery of the Church, and after the revocation of the Edict of Nantes, they joined with a state avid to stamp out heresy. Even a brother immured or immured. I-M-M-U-R-E-D. Even a brother immured in a monastery could not escape the impact of the disorders. And that is page 301. You can skip that when you play it back. That's not what we're looking for. That's not what we're here for. And now, the 25 on the Sabbath. Christmas week. Christmas week starts tomorrow. And we are on page 301 of Brother Lawrence by Sheldon Cheney. A soldier wounded in the wars was the occasion of a letter written to Brother Lawrence to a friend in 1688. In it he applies his philosophy to the life at arms, expressing admiration for the young man, but excusing him for having in him, quote, something of the world and an excess of youthfulness, unquote. He hopes that suffering will serve to deepen his character, quote. It should impel him to place his trust in the one, capital O, who accompanies him everywhere. Let his mind turn to him constantly. Yes, folks, we will do the same, constantly. especially when danger is greatest. To lift up the heart a little is enough. A remembrance of God, a moment of spiritual worship upon
It's the same thing.
a march
So we're not going.
when a sword is drawn is a prayer acceptable to God. This reliance, far from lessening a soldier's courage,
Something, didn't you?
will fortify it even in the extremities of danger. Let him be with God the most he can.
You can't see
Well, if he
people
wants to
coming
be
down
with God
the
the most he can, end of quote. If he wants to be with God the most he can, stop being a soldier. After he was 78 years old, in the final 2 years of his life, Brother Lawrence suffered from physical ailments, and he was in correspondence with one of the mothers, capital M, 16 years his junior, who likewise suffered. In his letters, he gently
Back home.
rebukes her
happy house.
for not finding comfort in God, for not giving thanks
Wait till the
for
sun goes down.
whatever circumstances he may place her in, though there is a note of kindly concern over her pains. That's right. Our job is happiness. Our job is happiness. I went out and left Sabbath against my will to bring happiness to Mr. Paul Quarles, to Mr. Devin McConnell, and to all interested in the Happy Book, and to the people at church.
You want to drive the car into the house?
No, I'll be back. I'm back, and I'm trying to make the most of it. Quote, since in his mercy he grants us yet a little interval, let us turn to him in earnest with an open heart, renounce all that is not his, renounce all that is not happiness. You will tell me that I am always saying this one thing. Truly, yes, for it is the best way I know, unquote. Thank you, Mr. Claus. Thank you, church. And I send tons of happiness to Joan Claus. And I went to feed the animals in the field. 12 degrees this morning, and there were no animals. There were no animals in the field. But I completed my mission. I threw 8 beautiful apples bought from expensive Hannafords. I threw them into the field for them so that when they come back, they will enjoy them. Red Delicious, Washington State apples, and Granny Smith's. Again, he writes, quote, lift up your heart to him. The least little thought of him will be acceptable. I love it. Lift up your heart, folks, to happiness. The least little thought of happiness will be acceptable. You need not cry very loud. He is nearer to us than we know, and they are happy who suffer with worldly men, find sickness a thing of pain, grief, and distress, not a favor from God. I don't know what that means, but it's okay. Those who can think of page 302 of it as his doing a part of his mercy and a means for our salvation. They find it in it sweetness and consolation. Often God is nearer to us in sickness than in health. Rely then upon no other physician, unquote. Right. 82 years old and no doctors. My physician is God. My physician is what, folks? Happiness. What number Sabbath is this? About the poor. What do you mean by I'm at Sabbath observance? Oh, okay. And what are you going to do on the next one? Continue to try to get order out of chaos. How many more pages of Brother Lawrence are you going to read? All of them? What are they? 302, 303, 304, 305, 306, 307, and 308. As the last months pass by, his mind becomes even clearer in regards faith, and he feels himself more completely in the present, capital P. Quote, in a little while I must go to him. What comfort I find in faith. By so much is my sight cleared that I can say no more.
The pussy in the corner. You didn't have to move.
To suffer something for his sake, unquote, is a foretaste of paradise, while the most delicious pleasures would be a hell if he could relish them out of God's presence. As a whole, like life still found him jubilant. Oh, isn't that nice? What a nice word, jubilant. How are you? Jubilant. Quote, I do not know how God will use me, but I am continuously happy. There we are, folks. We are continuously happy. Say that 45 times. We are continuously happy.
That's a good pure top.
We are jubilant. But I am continuously happy, said he. All the world knows distress and pain, but I, undeserving and filled with joy so great I can hardly contain it. We are filled with joy so great we can hardly contain it. Thank you, Brother Lawrence. Thank you, God, for filling him. On February 6th, he wrote his last letter to, quote, my good mother, repeating his expression of thanks for, quote, the bitter with the sweet, if it be from his hand, unquote, echoing his central thought, quote, he is present within us. Happiness is present within us. God is present within us. Seek him, not elsewhere. That's for sure. Seek your happiness, not elsewhere. Seek your happiness in happiness. Happiness is within us. Quote, unquote, rather. On the second day following his second day following, he took to his bed for the last time. The final sacraments of the church.
But he teaches
were
us how to
given him.
die.
To a brother who was watching at his bedside, who asked him what was in his mind, he answered, quote, I am doing that which I shall be doing through eternity. Thanking God, praising God, adoring God, offering Him the love that fills my heart. Unquote. He's teaching us how to die, folks. That's how you die. I can't figure out whether he's 78 or 80, but I think he's 80. Buddha died when he was 80. On February 12, 1691, painlessly and in peace, Brother Lawrence slipped away from his body to enter a new phase of a long-established companionship. Oh, that's beautiful. A long-established companionship with you, God. You've been my companion all day. I think I've been your companion all day. God is resting today, you know. You really can't talk to God today, brother. God expended tremendous energy for the past 6 days, creating one miracle after another. And now God is resting, and the energy is piling up for another brilliant 6 days of creating. Brother Lawrence's meager writing, together with his reported quote-unquote conversation, Oprah entitled, perhaps over fully, but with admirable fitness to content, the practice of the presence of God, the best rule for a holy life. The practice of the presence of holiness, the best rule for a holy life. The practice of the presence of happiness, the best rule for a holy life. No other arranged title could summarize so well the philosophy or belief of Brother Lawrence. What he had accomplished, that is rare, if not unique, was to simplify a philosophy of life until it is contained in hardly more than a single injunction. And to his genius as spiritual philosopher, we're going to be geniuses at happiness. And to his genius as spiritual philosopher, he had added the gift of almost miraculously apt and simple speech. Thank you, Brother Lawrence. Thank you. There is no one quotation that can be lifted out of the text and offered as the key passage. Rather, he repeated his central injunction tirelessly in the conversations, in the letters, and in his lifetime. Often he leads into his subject with some such simple introduction as this: men invent means and methods of love. They learn rules and set up devices to remind them of that love. And it seems like a world of trouble to bring oneself into the consciousness of God's presence. Yet it might be so simple. Is it not quicker and easier just to do our common business wholly for the love of God? Thus we put his consecration upon all we lay our hands on, at the same time establishing communion of our hearts with his, summing the sense of his abiding presence. Yep. There is need of neither art nor science. We go as we are to him, unpretending, single-hearted. Page 306. The maxims, perhaps, contain the most concise exposition of the central thought. Well, yes, I think we know what the central thought is. You stay in the presence of God. You stay in the presence of happiness. All right, this is a quotation. In the spiritual life, that devotion, which is the most characteristic and the most fundamental, is the practice of the presence of God. It is the schooling of the soul to find its joy in divine companionship. Oh, that's nice. Oh, that's nice. Where do we find our joy, folks? In divine companionship. Where do we find our joy.com? In divine companionship. The holding of humble and affectionate converse with God ceaselessly. Oh yes, that is beautiful. We should so rule our actions that they be little acts of tribute to God, but let them not be studied, only natural, welling up from the simplicity and purity of our hearts. Oh yes. The simplicity and purity of our hearts. What was the phrase we heard this morning that we're going to carry with us all day? Inward rapture. Inward rapture. We have it. We have it. It would seem almost beyond belief if one could foresee the nature of the converse the soul holds with God at these times. He seems to delight us in this communion that upon the soul utterly committed to God, he bestows joys beyond number, as if he would not have it turn again to earthly things. He provides for the spirit abundantly, doesn't he though? He provides for happiness abundantly.com. .com feel better, yeah, .com is regurgitating. No, she feel better. Thus, it gains a divine nourishment. And this is nourishment what we're doing right now, people. This is nourishment that we're doing right now. We are nourishing the soul with God's great provision and unbounded felicity. and unbounded felicity. Felicity, gladness, happiness, and joy. Felicity, gladness, happiness, and joy. Felicity, gladness, happiness, and joy.
Well, Devin especially went to
And we've
Walmart
got them alphabetically correct, too.
to fill up the,
Thus, it gains a
Great thought.
divine nourishment
and it's not working.
and unbounded
So did
felicity
you
of a
just buy
sort
the card and not have it
beyond
filled up?
human thought or conception. And this was no more on the part than simple assent. Oh, yeah. Good for you, Brother Lawrence. That is nice. You can be proud of that. LightFeelGood.com. Occasionally, Brother Lawrence admits difficulties of coming unhindered to a consciousness of the divine presence. Are you in the divine presence this moment? Yes. And do we have difficulties of coming unhindered to the divine presence? No. No. I like it. I like coming to it. And once, in the maxims, he lists parentheses, quite as if he had been studying the Oriental mystics. End of the parenthesis. 3 ascending stages of passive and conscious union. Oh, I love it. Union with you, God. Union with you, God. Divine presence. These are all beautiful phrases to think about, and think about nothing else. He concludes, quote, the third or actual union of the soul, and that ends page 306, with God is the perfect union. I'll go for perfect today. I'll go for perfect today. There's still too much materialism. It should be more spiritualism, more spirituality. But we had a mission to feed those hungry, cold animals out in the field with no shelter. In this actual union, the soul is intensely alive. Its operations are quicker than fire. It is more resplendent than the unclouded sun. Resplendent. Beautiful word. Beautiful word. Stop the recording. Resplendent. Felicity. Gladness. Happiness. Joy. Resplendent. It is a state of the soul. If only words will serve me, simple but profound, filling as with exaltation, exaltation, yet with serenity, with a divine love that is both ardent and humble. Yes, that certainly does sound as though he'd been reading the Oriental mystics. The soul is lifted to a summit where it cannot but adore God, embracing God with a tenderness that is inexpressible. Okay. Like I said, even though it may be inexpressible, I think we can understand it. I think we can intercept it. There are 5 pages left. And I'm glad, even though they keep talking about the same thing, even though Cheney keeps talking about the same thing, the one and only thing, I'm glad he keeps talking about it. I'd like to hear it. Check your transmission. Transmission is good.
Is that a car? You're
So we
checking the
will read
transmission in the car?
page 304. In some of the maxims, especially, and these are the only writings direct from Brother Lawrence's hand, except the presumably
Tomorrow's the shortest day of the year, the winter solstice.
letters, there are passages descriptive of mystic union in the higher and purer sense. It was high and pure enough for me up above, as approaching ecstatic abandonment of self in God's being. Okay.
Okay, we made that
Okay.
turn. We made the turn.
Ecstatic abandonment of self in God's being. Ecstatic abandonment of self in God's being.
Good.
But throughout the writings, there is reiteration of the importance of that other phase of his quote-unquote way. The methodical schooling of oneself, quote, to establish a continual consciousness of God's presence. Yes, yes, yes. Quote, to establish a continual consciousness of God's presence. Do you feel God's presence? Yes. Do you feel the presence of happiness? Yes. Quote, to establish a continual consciousness of God's presence by constantly conversing with Him. Or does God want us to constantly converse with Him?
Give God a rest. No, just constantly be happy.
That's anathema to say that, Wendor. Conversing with happiness. I don't think conversing, folks. I think just the thing that he said before. A continual consciousness of happiness. A continual consciousness of God's being with you. And of your being one with God. It is in one of his letters to the Mother Superior that he describes most fully the joys he has had from the continuous practice. Speaking of himself in the third person, explaining the experience as those of, quote, a member of our society, unquote, he adds, it's sometimes in the press of outward affairs, and that's what you have to be careful of. Some of that came in today. If sometimes in the press of outward affairs, he seems to lose a little of the sense of divine presence. I'm going to read that again. I think that happens to us. If sometimes in the press of outward affairs, he seems to lose a little of the sense of divine presence, or absents himself, God presently makes felt in his soul a summons verses. Conversing with God could be the Count Blessings and the Count Pure Thoughts that have brought us to where we are today. Then he feels that the love of God, satisfied with a few words, reposes again in his soul. That may well be. For instance, today, remember, inward rapture. Inward rapture. And I did feel that comfort in the press of the day's affairs. What were they? Well, going to get the happy book, going to church, the reception afterwards, and going to Hannaford's to get the apples for the animals in the field, and then driving all the way over there. But that was a great thing, to throw the animals into the field even though the animals weren't there. Inward rapture. Then he feels that the love of God, satisfied with a few words, reposes again in his soul at the core and depth of his being. Very good. Happiness at the core and depth of our being. The experience so assures him that God is always at the center of his soul. That God is always at the center of his soul. God is always at the center of his soul. Happiness is always at the center of our soul. Happiness is always at the center of our soul. That doubt of him is inconceivable. Well, yeah, it certainly is. You may judge what content and tranquil joy are his. You may judge what content and tranquil joy are his. You may judge what content and tranquil joy are his when this treasure is continual. It's a treasure, all right. The treasure of happiness, the treasure of inward joy. Brother Lawrence leaves no doubt that there were for him also occasional sudden illuminations. Occasional sudden illuminations. Occasional sudden illuminations. Experiences of rapture. Experiences of rapture. And ecstasy. Experiences of rapture and ecstasy. His conversion at 18 had come about through a vision so clear, so startling, so vivid, that his life and his desires were instantly changed. Good. Good. Ours have too, in these past few weeks of discussing these things together. His conversion at 18 had come about through a vision so clear, so startling, and so vivid that his life and his desires were instantly changed. One remembers, too, his account of his years of doubt and mental disquiet, and his, quote, sudden illumination, unquote, sudden illumination, sudden illumination. Somebody must have...
Look where the sun is now. Can you see it out the rear view?
Emergence into a realm of profound...
I'll try to get a better shot.
Are you there, folks?
Yeah.
Have you emerged into a realm of profound peace? Emergence into a realm of profound peace.
The animals are not here.
Beautiful phrases to carry with us of his later
We put them Saturday
transports. He speaks quite freely, though he tries to guard against the literal minds and the uninitiated who would misunderstand or misconstrue in worldly terms or mock. We don't need that. Quote, you must know, unquote, he writes to the in the Maxims, quote, that the benevolent and caressing light of God's countenance kindles
No animals.
sensibly within the soul, which ardently embraces it. Ardently embrace happiness. Ardently embrace happiness.
So, question. Shall we leave the food or take it home? I say leave it. Okay, let's decide. Where should we leave it? Up by the hay or
Within the
down
soul.
here in the corner?
Ardently embraces
I would say up by the hay.
a divine and consuming flame of love, so rapturous that one puts curbs upon the outward expression of it. Really. He speaks also of, quote, joys and raptures of the Spirit. Joys and raptures. Raptures.
A lot of traffic.
Felicity, gladness, happiness, joy, rapture. Not only inwardly, but outwardly felt. So that one is at pains to moderate them and keep their appearance from others. Really? He got self-conscious about it? What do you think about that, folks? Okay, I guess okay. What's okay? Well, that you can get so rapturous that you don't want others
I did it, folks.
to know it
15.
because they might think you're funny. You're queer or
12
something.
ears of corn and 3 apples.
I guess we
Well,
won't worry
little
about
quarter
that
ears of corn.
as we throw another 15 minutes of housekeeping and tidying our house.
I'll give you one more view of the house. Of the sun.
He tried, sometimes in direct description, sometimes by metaphor, to transmit the feeling of mystic union. Oh, that's great. The feeling of mystic union. Do you have it, folks? To express that which is so nearly inexpressible. Quote, in measure as our faith, through this spiritual practice, opens our understanding of the hidden mysteries of God. Are you interested in the hidden mysteries of God, or are you just simply satisfied with spread happiness? We recognize in God a beauty beyond compare, surpassing boundlessly all that is known on earth and all that is conceivable of the holiest men and angels. Already we relish, we taste this beauty, this bliss. Our desire is yet aflame in the consuming fire of his love, which burns to ashes all that pertains not to him. No longer can a soul be content away from him, for this union creates within the heart. That's true. If I don't count pure thoughts and count blessings, I am not content. I am not content to be away from God. Then I go back to counting blessings and counting pure thoughts, and I'm content again. No longer can the soul be content away from God. No longer can the soul be content away from God. For this union creates within the heart a consecrated passion. A consecrated passion. a consecrated passion, a consecrated passion, a holy desire, an ardent fire. Then more calmly he adds, quote, thus the soul comes to a knowledge of God, abundant, profound. It attains to an unclouded vision, unquote. I will say, a consecrated passion as I get up and answer the door and let in a cat named Amadeus. So, a consecrated passion. 3. A consecrated passion. 4. A consecrated passion. 5. You didn't say thank you, Amadeus. You just run through the food gate. Do you have enough water? 5. No, you need more. Water, great creation. 6. Consecrated passion. That's what. 7. Consecrated passion. 8. Here's fresh water, Amadeus. Alright, then he will go to sleep in great contentment. In contentment. Without counting blessings and counting pure thoughts, but you know what? He purrs. He purrs. 10. Consecrated passion. Once at least, Brother Lawrence reverses the meaning of the term real, quote-unquote, and visionary, quote-unquote, in a way common among the seers of the Orient and often baffling to the practical, quote-unquote, thinkers of the West. Quote, the world that is with us, unquote, he says, quote, has that reality. Those things that my outward eye reports flow by as fantasies and dreams. That which I discern with the eye of the soul alone exists and is the object of my desire. That's okay. That's okay. We're getting by with just thinking about happiness. Consecrated passion, hence happiness. One of the images developed to suggest the infinite sweetness of the mystic experience is that of being taken to the bosom of God, almost as if he were thinking of God as mother as well as father. Brother Lawrence writes, quote, he converses and delights himself with me continually in a thousand ways and treats me as if I were his favorite one. From him I experience more of sweetness and delight than is felt by a babe that was its mother. In default of words, I would choose to speak of this state as attainment to the bosom of God for its inexpressible sweetness. Okay. In the end, the reader may ask, quote, what is the message Brother Lawrence has left? I don't think there's any question about the message that Brother Lawrence has left. I think it's been said repetitively. Quote, this is my message. He lived his own philosophy, and he did not think of himself as a leader of opinion or as a man with a mission. His one known interlocutor before said that, quote, all his life he took pains not to come into the stare of men. Okay, we are up to page 306. 3 pages to go.
You get to leave the mittens that Nicole left.
Let me
I'll be
go
right back.
turn off the 1980 Lincoln. And what pure thought will I take with me? Let's back up. Find one of these beautiful phrases. I like ardent. Let's take ardent. Okay, ardent. All right, I'll be right back.
Brought back Nicole's mittens. It is so cold out, folks. It is so cold. And I'm so glad those animals hope they're inside somewhere. Warm and comfortable. Full of food and happy. You gave them corn in the cob? Yes, it was frozen corn in the cob. Green giant.
12. Ardent happiness. 13. That's the end of the outdoor work. 14. I guess the temperature right, folks. Right to the very numeral, 24 degrees.
I think this is about 20.
15.
18.
Back to Brother Lawrence. 16.
It's a good message.
Perfect union. In this actual union, the soul is intensely alive. Its operations are quicker than fire. It is more resplendent than the unclouded sun. They're two great phrases.
Here's two
The
cards
perfect
coming.
union
That's amazing.
and resplendent.
So we're like,
The soul is lifted to a summit where God, with a tenderness that is inexpressible. It is a state of the soul, if only words will serve me. Simple but profound, filling us with exaltation, yet with serenity, with a divine love that is both ardent and humble.
Ardent. Good word.
In some of the maxims, especially, and there are the only writings direct from Brother Lawrence's hand, except the presumably extemporary letters.
This is parallel project.
There are passages descriptive of mystic union in the higher and purer sense, as approaching the ecstatic abandonment of self in God's being. But throughout the writings, there is reiteration of the importance of that other phase of his way, the methodical schooling of oneself to establish the continued consciousness of God's presence by constantly conversing with God.
Poor God. Let's get some things in and warm up and come out and finish it.
We had read that before.
Okay.
104 was said by Cardinal Noailles to elicit and record Brother Lawrence's thoughts. The monk showed some
Resistance.
before
Well,
reported
yes.
Brother Lawrence
I should think you
wanted
would be
him-
cold. And why do you go out?
warned him that in such an enterprise, complete surrender and dedication to God were necessary. Quote, one must watch attentively, he told me, for human passions which may taint spiritual projects as well as others, that God alone could inform me of the purity
Oh,
or
goody.
unworthiness of
Happy
one's
house.
design. If my
70
desire
degrees.
was sincerely to serve God, I might come to him for the conversation as often as I wished. If not, I should visit him no more. Perhaps the main outline of the way followed by the saintly friar then commended to us can be put down fairly thus. Surrender of all to God, love of God, living continuously in consciousness of God's presence, occasional assent.
Okay, that's it on that tape. That's the most important message, or one of the most important that we've got out in 38 years of a chat with Glendora. Now we're getting down to what's important. Now we're getting down to what makes a difference. That was microcassette 8. God tape 8. Tomorrow is the shortest day of the year, and the starting of the day is getting longer. And the fingers are sort of frozen. Just a minute, we'll decide what to do. Bring in that litter pan, bring in the bird dishes. I think they ate the food. Cover up the blue sky protector. Thaw out. Make a nut fruit shake. Oatmeal, cashews. I'm glad those animals, where are they? I just hope they're inside somewhere. What do you think might have happened? You think by feeding them we brought attention to the fact that it was too cold for them to be out? You think so? Why does the mother why does the woman call her son-in-law Blister? Why does the woman call her son-in-law Blister? He never shows up until after the work is done. Okay, to do. Unload the 1993 Lincoln and cover it up. And bring in the dishes, as we said. The reason that the Straight Talk isn't working maybe is that Devin might have bought the minutes, but he didn't have them installed in the phone. Well, we'll get to that as soon as we thaw out. So, it's getting dark now at what time, folks? Can you see? Yeah. 4:35, and it'll be a thrill as we watch the days get longer and longer. Goody, goody. The daughter said to her father, "Dad, he's," about the new boyfriend, "Dad, he's only a young man trying to get ahead." And Dad says, "The sooner the better." And this dog and a boy, they went to school every day together. They came home in the afternoon together. And this went on for years and years. And finally one day, folks, it came to an end. The dog graduated. "How's your husband doing on his speed reading course?" "Oh, he's doing well. He moves his lips much faster now." "If I ever have a heart transplant, I want the heart of my boss," the man said. "Why? It's never been used." "Bill says there's nothing I wouldn't do for my brother, and there's nothing my brother wouldn't do for me, and so we've gone through life doing nothing for each other. The judge has an even disposition. It's terrible all of the time." Hey, there's a picture, folks. There he is. Tomorrow night he's full. Oh, that's nice. And tomorrow's the winter solstice. Where's your planet? You got a planet tonight, Moon? A cold winter moon, but warms the heart with joy. The clock's wrong, I gotta set it. It's an hour fast.